Ladies and gentlemen, please silence all electronic devices at this time. Thank you.
Playing in a rock and roll band. I never had no problems, yeah. Burning down the one-night stands. And everything around me, yeah. Got to stop to feeling so low. And I decided quickly, yes I did, to just go down and check out the show. Yeah, they were dancing and singing and moving to the grooving. And just when it hit me, somebody turned around and shouted, play that funky music, white boy. Play that funky music right. Play that funky music, white boy. Lay down the boogie and play that funky music till you die. Till you die? Yeah, yeah. Oh, till you die. I tried to understand this. Yeah, I thought that they were out of their minds. How could I be so foolish? How could I? To not see I was the one behind. So still I kept on fighting. Well, losing every step of the way. Hey, what'd you do? I said I must go back there. I got to go back and check to see if things still the same. Yeah, they were dancing and singing and moving to the grooving. And just when it hit me, somebody turned around and magic. I want something just like I feel the magic. We got the magic. I feel magic. Magic, magic. I see magic. We got the magic. I hear the magic. Magic, magic.
You can have anything that you desire. Magic. And you know you're the one who can put out the fire.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Director CS Best Practices, Splunk, Devani Lamas.
Good morning, everyone. Hi. Hi. Thank you so much for being here after last night's amazing party. Did you guys have a good time? Did you guys have a good time at last night's party? Is that what you guys call enthusiasm? All right, one more time. Did you have an amazing time at last night's party? Woo! You know, there's something weird going on with the lighting over here because, like, it might be the green lights or something, but you guys look very green right now. And, you know, Doug said yesterday that you were the innovators, the pioneers, but right now, I'm pretty sure you're just the hungover. We have an amazing show for you. I promise I'm going to make it worth your while. We're going to try to keep the ruckus down to a minimum. Maybe we can do golf claps for the rest of the event. And, you know, there's no shame if you need to lean on your buddy next to you. We are all cheering for you. But back to last night's party. I had so much fun. Richard knows how to throw a great party. I don't know if any of you saw him dancing last night, but he has this like weird little move that he does, and I learned something last night, Richard. So thank you for that. We have an amazing show for you today. Tons of really exciting demos. But before we get started, I thought we could take a moment to reflect back on some of the messages from yesterday's keynote and why they motivate us. For me, one of the most critical concepts that Doug covered yesterday was that of our community. When I joined Splunk in 2011, I was told that if I ever wanted to be inspired, all I had to do was go visit a customer. Since then, I have visited thousands of you, and I still get a thrill when you show me that awesome dashboard you hacked over the weekend that impressed the hell out of your boss. Or when you invite me to a user group, and I get to watch someone get Splunk for the first time. You are the most fun, intellectually curious, and driven group of people I have ever worked with. Now, by now, I think I've outed myself as a geek for customer success. And hopefully, all of you were taking notes when Michael Ibbotson from Dubai Airports was talking yesterday, because that man has it figured out. I never thought learning about airport bathroom cleanliness could be that thrilling. Michael, my only request is that once you finish bringing Dubai Airport into the 22nd century, you come spend some time with us here in the US. We could use your help, and you might be the only hope for Terminal 2 at Dulles. You also learned a little bit about some of the new customer success tools that we're introducing. Making your lives easier is a little bit of a life mission for me. So I'm going to once again shamelessly plug the Customer Success Studio. I think I spoke to about 400 of you yesterday, which means I still need to have a heart-to-heart with the other 5,000 plus. And as much as you enjoyed listening to Doug and me talk, I know that your favorite part of the keynote yesterday was when Richard and Nate came up here and showed you the amazing innovation that we've been building in our products team. Your success drives product innovation, and based on the conversations I had yesterday, I know you're all excited to get your hands on metrics and the machine learning toolkit. Today, we're doing a deep dive into product and how it applies to scenarios you have all faced as IT and security professionals. If you remember one thing from today, it's this. We are focused on developing solutions that solve your biggest problems. Machine learning is playing a big role in helping us solve those problems. And next generation event analytics and monitoring are going to change the way you think about Splunk. We're going to kick things off with two security experts who eat hackers for breakfast. These are two of my favorite people at Splunk, and you are going to learn so much today. Manzi Mirza, Splunk's head of security research, is a rebel. He lives and breathes Splunk's culture. He is an enemy of suits, hates them. He won't wear them no matter what, and he has the most amazing collection of Splunk hoodies I've ever seen. He has 15 years of security research experience in commercial and government organizations. And, you know, he tells us this, but I'm actually convinced that all of those years in government were actually in Area 51 doing alien research. Maritza Perez, Splunk's Director of Security Product Management, is a product visionary. She is also, fun fact, an athlete. She has done 5 15Ks, 2 half marathons, and 2 figure building competitions. In her free time, she's currently training for a marathon and a triathlon, and she enjoys a little bit of kickboxing on the side. We would never say that Maritza is a driven individual. But the place where she actually performs the best is in her 15 years of experience building security industry-leading products. So I'd like all of you to give a big, warm welcome to Manzi Mirza, Splunk's Head of Security Research, and Maritza Perez, Splunk's Director for Product Management Security. Thank you.
Good morning!
Good morning, everyone.
How's everybody doing today? Welcome to the M&M Security Keynote. I'm Manzi Mirza, Head of Security Research. This is my partner in crime, Maritza Perez.
Monty, I love that video that made us athletic, but this jacket just doesn't fit. It throws me off a little bit. I love it, don't get me wrong. I love the bling. But I prefer the sweater.
Yes?
Yes, come on, please. Yeah. All right. By the way, I do love that hoodie. I see you've upgraded all your patches.
Upgraded patches. I see what you did there.
I know. I'm trying to make it a little funny, get everybody awake. But first of all, thank you for inviting me to join you in this keynote session. I know you wanted to show our customers how our passions in developing great solutions for you brings us together, even though fashionably, we're a little different.
That's right. Well, it's not just you and me. I mean, look at this audience. You're security practitioners, you're IT experts, web app developers, infrastructure practitioners. All of you come together every day to serve your business and your mission, especially when there's a breach.
Yes.
Now, there's lots of different things that happen when people talk about breaches, but a couple of things are for sure. There's some sort of an attack that you discover somehow, and then there's lots of madness, and then there are meetings, lots and lots of meetings. Meetings where everybody and their uncle wants to tell you how to do your job. All of a sudden, everybody becomes a security expert. Why do I know this? Because like you, I was an analyst. I was an incident responder. And to be fair, there were times when I was the reason for somebody else's security incident. But I came to Splunk several years ago because I believe that the pundits are wrong. I believe that defense can have an unfair advantage over the adversaries. I believe that defenders can succeed. Security, IT, and infrastructure people all come together when there is a problem. All we need is a nerve center so that we can share and learn. Over the course of the last couple of days, you've heard from customers like Aflac and many, many sessions that talk about how Splunk is the nerve center, which is why today I brought Maritza along with me. She's the expert, and she's going to walk us through how each and every one of you can make Splunk your nerve center and how the pieces fit together. So let's talk about for a moment, what is a nerve center to you? Some of you in the audience, you're CISOs. For you, a nerve center provides situational awareness. You've made an incredible amount of security technology investment. You want to make the best use of all of these products. For others, you're an analyst. For an analyst, a nerve center is something that reduces the noise, gives you high fidelity signal, and it enables you to take action when you're ready to take action. And for all you threat hunters in the room, you want a nerve center because you want to pivot, you want to ask any question that you want. You want to contextualize the way you see fit and move on to track the target that you're after. So I'm going to hand it over to Maritza, and she's going to talk to you about how all of these things come together. So take it away, Maritza.
Thank you, Monzi. So today, I'm going to walk you through how you can use Splunk to identify high-fidelity alerts by using our advanced threat detection. I'll walk you how we can make your SOC operations more efficient through SOC automation. And in the end, we'll talk about how we can leverage the community intelligence so that we can improve your incident investigation process. So let's start off with advanced threat detection. Splunk User Behavior Analytics is our machine learning solution that allows us to model assets, user, and application activity across your network to identify any abnormal behavior that we would consider a threat. We also have Splunk Enterprise Security, the leading SIEM solution in the Gartner Magic Quadrant that helps us monitor and detect alerts. It enables us to respond with investigation and stop them in their tracks. So let me walk you through how ES and UBA work together. Here you see the incident review, and we've identified an insider lateral movement event. We understand by UBA that we've detected abnormal activity from a restricted user and assets that are important to the organization. We've identified this by increasing its risk score. We also have the next steps for investigating. So now I have to go in and look at all session activity that's happened between these systems and Ken Weston. Based on my investigation, now I have the next steps on what I'm supposed to do based on my incident response process. So based on my findings, I can quarantine the host. So let's go into Session Center and see exactly what's happening. Here, we've identified that Ken Weston's been communicating with 2 servers. On its own, that might be normal for his role. But when we drill into the details of his activity, we can see that we've identified 80 activities over the last 3 days, which that's abnormal, no matter what. So at this point, let's go into UBA's lateral movement report that told us this to begin with. What we're doing here is we're chaining all the activities and all the abnormalities and give you a summary of the applications he's executed and the servers he was connecting with. We also provide you a high-level view that says Ken Weston had been scanning the multiple systems, but we've identified the 2 with the anomalous activity. We can proceed to investigate the process itself by identifying the timeline in which they happened, and we identify the indicators themselves so that you can go back and work with your incident response team and gather all this intel to determine if this has been a true breach. So what we've done up to this point is we have identified the user in question, the system he's been accessing, and all the information needed so that we can proceed with our investigation.
Maritza, that's really cool. You know, last night over the search party and a couple other times, as I've been talking to customers, everybody thinks of machine learning oftentimes as just some sort of a black box. But you just showed how Splunk UBA can really take a practical approach to detect something as important as lateral movement that is oftentimes very, very complex because we don't know where the user is coming from, what systems the user is touching, and how the user is moving around the network. That is really cool. So thank you for doing that. I have a question for you, though. You know, with all of this magic around machine learning, I just don't like these kinds of answers.
Of course you don't. You're a Splunker. You know you want to be able to build your own things. And this is why, as part of UBA 4.0 release, we're introducing the open source SDK, which enables us to bring together the threat hunter and the data scientists so that they can create their own algorithms and models based on their understanding of their business. Monzi sort of like to say, it's not magic, it's just Splunk.
That's awesome. I can't wait to see a threat hunter get together with a data scientist.
Oh,
Wait, did I just say that out loud?
Yes, you did. Okay. So we've talked about how we can detect advanced threats. But now let's talk about how we can mobilize your security operations team. Because everybody's been talking about SOC automation. It's the hot topic today. But Monzi, I know when you were working in that dark room where you refused to tell me any of the actual war stories, you were an analyst. And at that point, there had to have been things you wanted to automate. What were they?
When we looked at automation back in those days when I was in the government, I think we really were trying to focus on 3 key points. First, we wanted to contextualize events that we were seeing, whether they were incidents or individual events. We wanted to bring in additional information. Also, we wanted to preserve evidence. I mean, imagine some event occurs, and by the time you try to get a forensic snapshot of that disk, the person's closed their laptop and walked away. So we wanted timely action on forensics investigations so we can preserve the evidence quickly. And lastly, of course, we wanted to do configuration management, increase somebody's privilege, reduce somebody's privilege, or move to another policy group in the firewall.
That makes complete sense. At this point, why should you be doing the things that your computer should be doing? I mean, allow the humans to do what we're supposed to do, which is analyze a situation. And this is why we've come together as a broader community to help you, our customers, succeed. As part of our adaptive response initiative, we've joined forces with 40 best-of-breed security solutions that help you instrument whether it's on your network, endpoint, application, or cloud activity. And together, we now offer you over 80 actions so that you can automate part of your process, whether it's in your investigation and you want to enable two-factor authentication to stop a threat in its tracks, or if you want to capture more information from your endpoint so that you can analyze exactly what's going on, or enrich the network information. As part of this, we've also partnered with new vendors as part of this initiative. We are now working with Atlassian, AWS, Gigamon, Signal Sciences, and Corvell.
Maritza, that's really cool. I can see, a couple years before when we started doing the Adaptive Response Initiative, we started with a small number of partners. And that list continues to grow. But I have a question for you. We have some customers who use commercial automation orchestration technologies, like Phantom, for example. And we have other customers who want to use open source technologies, like Walkoff, for orchestration automation. Will these technologies work with the adaptive response and enterprise security?
Of course. Our adaptive response initiative is meant to help you, our customers, take advantage of all your security tools, whether it's open source automation or commercial solutions. The idea here is that we make the investigation process easier for you. So instead of running commands, you can do what you know how to do best. So we've covered advanced threats. We've covered automation. Now let's talk about community intelligence. When I think about community intelligence, I think about bringing our Splunk users closer to the research community who knows how threats work. This way, we can share our learnings across the community and across our users, but we can also make this information actionable directly in enterprise security. You've asked us, integrate threat intelligence specific to my organization within enterprise security. You want to understand the attack before it actually occurs. You also want this information to be actionable so that you can be proactive in your defense. This is why we've partnered with Booz Allen and introduced the Cyber Foresight for Splunk. It's an innovative way of doing threat intelligence solution, makes it actionable because it provides you the context you need to detect, mitigate, and anticipate a threat. I like to think about it as we're delivering the Cyber Foresight managed service intelligence directly in enterprise security. So let's see how we can learn about these threat actors. As you can see here, ES created a threat activity notable event. And we're going to pivot into the Cyber Foresight report. Here you can see an indicator of compromise scorecard that tells you exactly what this IP address is associated. It's a phishing campaign. But we also tell you about the techniques, tactics, and procedures that a threat actor could use to exploit it. In this scenario, we're highlighting PowerShell. We also tell you the industries that threat actor will target with this type of attack. We tell you the common vulnerabilities and exposures they will leverage against you. And we highlight the sophistication of the threat actor and what drives them. In this scenario, state-sponsored. But my favorite part of this whole thing is that we tell you exactly what software in your organization exposes you to this type of threat. So I feel like I've been doing a lot of the work here, Monzi. All right, so we've talked about how to enable the SOC operations team. We've talked about how we can leverage the advanced threat detection capability. We've talked about how to identify the techniques that will be used by the threat actors, but what we haven't talked about is how do we still reduce the time of the investigation and analysis process? So, is there anything you can do for us?
Yes, thank you. So I think it's really important to understand that learning about tactics, techniques, and procedures from an attacker is incredibly important. But what you really want, all of you, is to put that into action so that you can reduce your time to response or your time to investigation. This is why today we're really proud to announce a new Splunk product release, Enterprise Security Content Updates. Would you like to hear more?
Yes.
Yes. Enterprise Security Content Updates is freely downloadable from Splunk Base. And what we wanted to do was take the understanding of a threat and package it up into an analytics story. You all know that to detect a threat requires many different aspects. You want to look across multiple domains, across your network, across your endpoints, maybe across your application and web services infrastructure. So we completed all of those pieces together into a singular package. Let me go into a little bit more detail. The big deal about analytics stories is that we really wanted to take context. Can we go to the next slide, please? We really wanted to take the effort of the Splunk security research team and bring that to you so that now your security operations team has a research team that is an extension of you at Splunk. We also wanted to take these analytic stories and take a broader view of what was going on, so not just give you the capacity to detect, we also wanted to give you the ability to investigate, to contextualize, and to take action. And the other thing, in talking to you, what we realized was, it doesn't matter if you get an update 6 months down the road. When we learn something from our research efforts, you want to know it now. And so we're going to release updates for the security content updates as quickly as the research team understands it, so that you can download those from Splunk Base as quickly as you want to access them. What do you think about that?
We like it, right? So Monzi, I love the concept of an analytics story. It helps me understand the threat and how to know exactly what to look for. I mean, whether it's endpoint activity, whether it's malware on the endpoint, or email campaign over the network. But does an analytics story really tell me the different phases of an attack so I can associate it with my incident investigation?
So I think the best way to do that is to maybe walk through an example. We know that there's lots and lots of kinds of threats out there. This week, we've talked a little bit about ransomware, so just for continuity, and also because when I was in the CISO cab, about half the cab was saying, we care about ransomware. So let's dive in to what a ransomware story looks like. So this is the analytics story detail page. You can search for any number of stories that we already have, and you can see immediately, top of mind, we provide you with a description of what this story is about. You can read it and understand it so that you can see if this is something that is actually relevant to your organization and this is something that will be useful to you. The other thing that we learned from you is that some of you really like the MITRE ATT&CK framework and want to map your security posture to the MITRE ATT&CK framework. Yet others like the kill chain process. And there are some of you who are really serious about the best practices that come out of the CIS controls. So instead of making a choice, we gave you all of them. The other thing that we did is we wanted to show you the data models and the data sets required in order to bring this analytics story to life. So we listed all of them so you can see them very easily, and also use that as a maturity curve for your own organization's security roadmap. So you can see the kinds of threats that you want to develop to and the kind of adversaries that you want to contend with over a longer period of time. And of course, right below that, we wanted to share with you examples of technologies. These are all just Splunk searches at the end of the day. And so no matter how gnarly they are, we put it right in front of you so you can edit them and learn from them. Let's deep dive into the shadow copy deletion search. Now, many of you know when a ransomware attack hits, the attacker might want to remove the shadow copy from your system so you can't recover from the shadow copy. You not only have the detail of the search, you can also see what phase of the kill chain or what phase of the MITRE ATT&CK framework that particular story relates or that particular search relates to. We gave you a little search button there on the top so that if you wanted to run this search just to kind of test it out to see if this applies for your environment or not, you can execute that search. You can also configure this search in enterprise security as a notable event so that you can make that part of your overall security notables framework. And in addition, we also provided you information on how to actually implement this search, what data sources are required just for this specific search so that you can make best use of it within your environment. Now, I know what you're thinking. You just told me about this analytics story, and now you're telling me about an individual search. What if I wanted to run and execute the entire story? Well, we can do that. We created a new custom command called run story. You simply click on the command and it executes all of the detection searches that are wrapped in this particular story. Now you can see, for example, here, there's about 14 different detection searches that are part of this one analytics story. With this command, now you can schedule detections. Now you can run analytic stories the way that you want to do them, or you can experiment and just run analytic stories from the command line to see what the output looks like. And if you wanted to go into a specific detail on each one of the search results, you can use the job IDs and get into all of the details. What do you think? Yes? Now, I think one of the other things that might be top of mind for you, say, okay, this is cool, but I use ES. I use Notable Events Framework. So let's take a look how these analytic stories get rendered out in enterprise security. All of the different searches that are part of the analytic story create correlation rules and search events. I've had so many conversations with you all, but you say, you know, it's cool to see a particular alert, but I want to see the full context around what's happening with that. And I want to look at the overall threat across the kill chain. So what we did was we created stories with next steps. So now you know what to do next. The other thing that we did was we created adaptive response actions so that if you wanted to contextualize these searches or if you wanted to investigate these searches further, you don't have to bootstrap your way through that process. You can simply click on the adaptive response actions. Here you're looking at the enterprise security contextualize adaptive response action, which automatically goes into the analytics story, pulls out the required contextualization steps, and executes them for you. And we wanted to keep everything very transparent, just like you would expect from Splunk. So we showed you not only the search that we're running, but we showed you the search bar as well, so that if you want to tweak that just a little bit, you can do that as well. So now you can see that with these analytic stories, you can have a broader understanding of what the threat is doing, and you have a mechanism to take action and to learn without having to start from scratch. Now, I know some of you, because I spent a lot of time with you. I've been here almost 7 years at Splunk. It's been a privilege to interact with you and learn what your ideas are. And you're thinking, that's great, but what if I want another analytic story? How do I get to have the security research team work on something that I care about? We heard you, and we put a feedback page, we call it the feedback center, right in the application. So that you can go in, there's a form in there, and it immediately goes into the backlog for the research team. The research team will reach out to you and get more information to understand what's going on, and together we can build new analytic stories, we can tweak the ones that you're already interested in, and bring out to the forefront what you care about. What do you think about that, huh?
I think that sounds great, Monzi. I love the concept of an analytics story. We have everything we need to understand the threat, how to respond to it, and how I can take advantage of all my security investments and operationalize enterprise security. But today, I want to ask each and every one of you to go to Splunk Base and download ES content updates. Check them out. Check out the analytic stories we already offer you. And if you want new ones, let us know. As Monzi mentioned, we have the feedback view.
You know, it's been a real privilege for Maritza and I to talk to you about all of the work of the security teams that we put together during the course of the year, especially the new releases. When I went to my first .conf, sorry.
There we go. Yeah.
When I went to my first .conf, the only real choice that a security practitioner had for a Splunk solution was Splunk Enterprise. And it was amazing. I fell in love with it. But for prescriptive activities, specific solutions, we didn't really have a lot of choices. Today, you saw Splunk Enterprise Security, how we've grown to add next steps, adaptive response actions. You saw Splunk UBA, how we've taken machine learning from a black box to expose and make it transparent so that you can work together and learn and leverage the SDK to not only you take advantage of what's already there, but to build your own machine learning capabilities and threats and anomaly detection capabilities. You've seen how we've expanded the ecosystem, where we have tens of partners within the adaptive response initiatives, and over 70 of you partners in the Source Pavilion. And you see how we've partnered with everyone to create not just apps within Splunk produced by Splunk teams, but partners making Splunk apps and contributing and escalating the game and enabling you further and further. For example, with the Cyber Foresight integration with Booz Allen. Yeah. You know, it's really been a privilege for you to join us in this journey and really for you to lead us through this journey. We've always done what we've heard from you. And our journey continues. I want to thank each and every one of you. Thank you for pushing us. Thank you for challenging us. Thank you for sharing with us your priorities and your ideas. I want to reaffirm my annual .conf promise to you. We, all of us at Splunk, we are listening to you. We will continue to work together with you to serve your business and your mission. And together, we will never give up. Thank you.
All right. That one. Thank you, Monzi and Maritza. How was the M&M keynote? Right? Awesome. You know, there's really nothing like a security presentation early in the morning to light up your paranoia. Moving on to the IT side of the house. This next speaker is someone who's a familiar face to many of you. He has almost a decade of experience at Splunk. And I mean, really, it's a privilege to get to introduce him. He worked on the Enterprise 3.3 product. You guys remember that one? That's the one that introduced the forwarder. He's also launched ITSI and dozens of other innovations across the company. This man is also known as the most interesting man at Splunk. He wears pants that are better described as painted than put on. He's a world explorer that has swam in every ocean in the world, including the Antarctic. And the only thing that matches the size of his wardrobe is the size of his wine collection. Please welcome to the stage our VP of Products for IT Markets, Jonathan Cervelli.
Well, hello everyone, and thank you, Devani, for making me feel old so early in the morning. That was absolutely awesome. But she is right. If you've been here the last couple of years, you've seen me talk about how IT service intelligence was going to bring the sexy back to service management. Well, guess what? The sexy is back. No, not me. You. All of you. But we've spent the last couple of years, it has been the privilege of my team to travel all around the world talking to literally hundreds of you about how we can make your service management better and how you can illustrate the incredible value you improve, and optimize the services around your organization. And in doing so, we had a lot of opportunities to ask this question. How can we make your life better? What should IT markets be doing to improve your Splunk experience? And what we heard was, it's very hard to sort of keep that mojo when you're busy every day being dragged down into fighting fires. You know, outages, of course, but slowdowns, brownouts, that intermittent stuff you just can't quite put your finger on. And we said to ourselves, we should be able to help you do this better. We should be able to find a Splunky way using metrics, data, and math that will make you a better firefighter. And in fact, we're going to talk about that, unsurprisingly, today. 3 things that we delivered to help you do that. But before I jump right into technology, because we always like to kind of do that here, I'd like to start with a story. It's not a nice story, I got to warn you. It's a story of what could have happened to Buttercup Games if it didn't have all that cool stuff that Nate showed you yesterday. And it's going to be kind of a gnarly outage. But before I start the story, it's actually kind of hard to know where the story begins. How do you know when an outage actually started? Where does that thread all the way unravel to? I mean, you'd hope that you have a system out there, some benevolent robot that goes, danger, sysadmin, danger. But you probably don't. Does your early warning system look more like this? Millions upon millions of events, alerts, traps, and in there somewhere there's an outage starting. I just can't tell where. How would I know? And it becomes extremely difficult to put your finger on when something actually began, and then it's hard to find root cause, and then outages persist. So if I think about a day in the life when I was a telco operator and all the people I've talked to out there who are, and it's not going to be just one thing either. No. You've been in this industry long enough, you wake up with your Kevlar underoos still on from the night before. No. It's going to be some insidious chain of improbable or even impossible events that collude together in ways you couldn't have possibly expected that end up making you have an outage. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So like a lot of stories, this story is a tragedy. And it starts with the very best of intentions at Buttercup Games. Somebody, Monzi Mirza, goes and, trying to stop a kill chain, changes our DNS lookups in the Palo Alto network's firewalls in order to stop us connecting to some potentially dodgy certificate providers. That sounds like a good idea, best of intentions. Except there's a bit of a problem. We use some of those certificates are used by our partners to connect. To whom? To us, so that we can validate orders, pay our affiliates perhaps. The cloud middleware is trying to connect to those things, and now it can't. Oh, but it tries. Oh, it keeps trying. It loves to try harder and harder and harder. It is hell-bent on making blue smoke today, ladies and gentlemen. And eventually, it seizes up. It can't keep doing that. It runs out of connections. So what happens? Someone clever, because Buttercup Go people are pretty smart, they automate restarting it. And they blame the developer. Of course, let's do that. Probably just some bad code in the last push. Let's restart it and let's go to lunch. Sounds like a plan to me. Right? Never had this problem happen. But guess what? We like customer money at Buttercup Games. Bet you never heard that from a company before. And we also know that standing between a teenager and the world of cheese is a dangerous place to be standing. They are vicious and they want their game and they want it now. So our general rule is we commit those transactions and we'll fix it in post. That's what post-processing does. Problem solved, right? Cool. Well, those sort of procedures come along every couple of hours, and they've never seen an error like this before. They don't know what to do. They do the only thing they can do. They start logging those errors right to the database, the only place they can possibly write. And so now we have random nulls, errors, small little things going to the database. And then we realize this is happening and we think to ourselves, wait a second, we've seen this before. This little fire's happened once or twice. We've had big games. So it must just be we're having a really awesome day. That's why the databases are getting full, right? Sure, no problem. We'll just automate expanding our EBS volumes. Because then we'll make sure the databases are happy as a clam. So let's think about where we're at right now, Buttercup Games. We automate our EBS volumes. I think it's about time to go back home. database is working. Middleware, it's doing this kind of thing, but we're still taking orders. People still got their games, right? I mean, it's not like we're creating any kind of problem and not noticing downstream issues. So I think everything will just be perfectly fine. Right? We have backups. Oh. We got a nice little trash fire going here, don't we? So while we're sleeping, we might have had better instance management, might have caught this. Maybe a little cloud monitoring could have helped us, or even better yet, what if some clever piece of machine learning would have seen these things and correlated them together and said, hey, this is probably going to be a bad idea? No, but not in this world, unfortunately. Unfortunately, in this world, Buttercup Games is about to get a whole lot worse. So while everybody is comfortably sleeping in their bed, we run batch processes. And they're supposed to do a lot of things, like accounting reconciliation, maybe pay our partners, or a whole bunch of other reports for the pointy-haired bosses. But guess what? They can't. And what happens? They keep failing. What did we do before we went home yesterday? Set up automatic expansion of the database. So they just keep doing this over and over and over again. So now, I got a question for you. While that's all happening and they're furiously making all those errors, what happens when the backup snapshot comes along? What's it gonna find in there? Customer transactions or endless error logs? Spoiler alert. When the phone rings, you kind of have your answer at 5 a.m. So now, unfortunately, many of you know what happens next. You shuffle in at dark early to the war room. You go and trip over the cat trying to get to your monitor at home. And you end up sitting down with probably, I don't know, 10, 20 of your soon-to-be bestest new friends around what you now, in fact, have, which is a lovely dumpster fire. That's right. I like the smell of toasted plastic. And so now at this point, you have to start asking yourself, well, shoot, can we roll back? I mean, what would happen if we try to go backwards yesterday? What if we lost some transactions, had to refund some customers? That wouldn't be too bad. But then no one stops to think, does anyone know what the maximum size of our checkpoint is? No, it failed. It's 100 times larger today than yesterday. Oops, you cannot go back. The way out must be through. But now it's late enough, the kids are awake. They're trying to get on their mobile phone. They can't play their games. They're on Twitter right now, blowing it up, accusing you of everything up to and including starting the second zombie apocalypse. And at this point, the pointy-haired bosses know. Now they're on the call. They're not happy. No. You're not making any money. Your brand is going in that dumpster fire. And that means that you have to start thinking that perhaps this is something much worse. You have now gone, ladies and gentlemen, full tire fire. This is not how you should burn rubber. And now, as you sit there, realizing you cannot go back, you may not have viable backups, you are now faced with the 3 words that strike fear into the heart of every veteran operator. Restore from tape. Now, I hope that has never happened to you. But the story didn't have to end this way. With a little bit of the right metrics, some better monitoring, and some properly applied machine learning, maybe we would have gotten ourselves out of this trap and stopped the tire fire when it was still just a little trash fire. And so, now that I've maybe burned that nightmare fuel into your brains, let's talk about 3 things that actually can make a difference. Let's get to those 3 technologies: event analytics and IT service intelligence 3.0, cloud monitoring with the Splunk for AWS app, and some interesting things we're going to hit at for scalable, machine learning-powered infrastructure monitoring. And so, starting with event management, you saw in that story, there were lots of little clues. Buttercup Go people aren't slackers. They caught several of the items that they should have caught when they were little fires. But they couldn't see the forest for the trees. They couldn't smell the tire fire that was coming. Why was that? Because basically, legacy event management has failed us. It is simply untenable in a modern infrastructure. No matter how many rules you make, no matter how many things you try to automate, you are still swimming in countless traps and spurious errors and ultimately false positives. So there has to be a better way. There has to be. And that's what we're going to talk about today with Splunk Event Analytics for IT Service Intelligence. And what if I were to tell you that ITSI 3.0 could take millions of events and make them hundreds, or thousands and make them dozens, and even better, help you triage them automatically and provide you with an at-a-glance view of not just that something is happening, but a chain of things are happening that are related, and put them in the context of what's being impacted in your infrastructure and your business. Would that sound awesome? Somebody thinks so. All right, now, just to make sure that you actually believe me and I'm not making all this up, I would like to invite out, please, my pinch hitter and sales engineer, Kelly Kitagawa, to show you the real stuff. Come on out, Kelly.
Good morning. How's it going? I am so honored to be here with you all today. We got a lot of good stuff to show you. I'm going to start and pretend like I'm the operations director for Buttercup Games. Imagine this, it's Friday afternoon, 3 p.m. My calendar looks nice and clear. I just sent a text message to my friends. I think I'm going to get out early. Want to go out for happy hour? And then the messages start coming in. A fire is about to start. I'm going to show you how we can use ITSI to put out that fire using our new event analytics capabilities. With ITSI 3.0, I'll demonstrate how easy it is for all of us to apply machine learning and service context to filter out the noisy events and focus on determining the root cause. As the messages have been coming in, we know we've been hit with a number of critical issues. So we'll focus on our web store service, which is red and in critical condition. Using our new service analyzer tree, it's a simple way to view our dependencies within our systems. And the coloring makes it really easy to see where some of our trouble spots are. I'll focus in on the database service in orange. This panel will show all of my services split out by KPI. At the bottom, you can see that we have over 100 alerts, errors, and messages that ITSI has automatically grouped into one, a 99% reduction. From there, we'll go into the event groups. Here's all the things that I need to take a look at. There's so many things that are red here, though, and we're in the middle of a fire, people. We don't have time to go through this. Let's fix that. I'm going to enable our new Smart Mode machine learning feature. How it works is we select a few fields by which to group by, and ITSI will automatically group the events for us. Now you'll see that the group by service toggle is enabled, and this layers each service context and its dependencies to help us prioritize the events we really care about. And what's great, any new data coming in, these rules will automatically be applied, so there's no need to manually reconfigure for a short-lived or dynamic infrastructure. And what's even better is the algorithm will continue to learn as more and more data comes in. Now, isn't that so much easier to look at? It's obvious I should check out the database events. From there, I'll check out the Grouped Events tab, and I can see all of the events grouped into a timeline by criticality. We'll go over to the overview and then check out a deep dive. What's a deep dive, you say? A deep dive is one of the most powerful drill down capabilities that we have. It allows me to see all of my KPIs across my service stack, including web tier, middleware, database, and more. it's easy to visually correlate the performance of metrics by time. This makes figuring out cause and effect so much easier. You'll see that our machine learning has detected 2 anomalies. Looking at this, it looks like this happened right before, maybe a little bit before our actual outage occurred. So maybe this has something to do with a deeper root cause. So we'll come back to that a little bit later. However, right at around before 11:15, it looks like that's where our service started to degrade. So I'm going to add a couple more critical KPIs to help add some layers to this context. I'll add the database service errors and the storage free space. Once that's been added here at the bottom, it's very easy to tell. Yep, there it is. Right before the outage, our storage free space started to decline dramatically. This tells us that it's definitely a database issue. So we'll go back to the notable events and initiate some action. From here in the Actions menu in the top right-hand corner, I want to point out a couple integrations that we already have. We have BMC Remedy as well as ServiceNow to file tickets. Going back to the comments, it looks like this issue has actually happened before. It looks like this happens when a log rotation gets stuck, and we've resolved it before by using a Puppet sync. So I'm going to initiate an action to run the Puppet catalog sync. From here, we'll go back to our service analyzer tree, and we'll see that our services are starting to turn green. There are no more actions for us to take any notes on. And that's how the fire is going out. So what did we just see here? We started from the top level view using our service analyzer tree, and then we used our smart mode machine learning features to filter out and prioritize the events that we really care about. We then used the deep dive to take a look and figure out what was the root cause, and then we resolved it with our Puppet and integration. ITSI is a single solution from triage to troubleshooting to incident workflow to resolution. And that's how we saved Buttercup Games from another nasty tire fire.
Woo! Thank you, Kelly. I like that story so much better. And we have machine learning showing us what's wrong, being able to solve it, being able to still go home early. That's the better story, don't you think?
Happy hour.
Yes, happy hour. So the only thing that will make this hour happier is if we were able to also correlate some of our cloud infrastructure with our on-prem infrastructure, which is a problem I think a lot of you have, because as you heard, Buttercup is rapidly embracing the cloud, as are many of you. It's faster, it's easier, and of course it allows us to be closer to our customers. But just because you're renting somebody else's computer doesn't mean that you don't have fires in the rest of your infrastructure, in your applications, and everything else that supports it. So for that, we have the Splunk app for AWS. In one app, we can give you improved security controls, configuration management, cost optimization, infrastructure monitoring, and troubleshooting, all in one, as I said, single app. So for example, what if you could predict your infrastructure usage and bring forward reserve instances, change your EBS and storage, et cetera, all to minimize your costs? Or if you wanted to get detailed information about your cloud infrastructure and compare it with your on-prem infrastructure and the apps that flow in between. So to show us how that could happen, Kelly, please take it away.
Yes, sir. All right, Buttercup Games just migrated to AWS. We'll start with the overview dashboard to look at our end-to-end visibility of our usage, security, and health for our AWS infrastructure. Looking at the dashboard, it looks like we have a high number of EBS or elastic block storage volumes that are unused. Drilling down, I can see all of my volumes by type, by size, and more importantly, if I scroll down, I can see which volumes are unattached. I can also see by where in which region. This could be the cause of our excess spend. I got a nasty phone call from the finance guys that we've gone way over, so this is a great place to look. Now, to understand how those unattached volumes fit into my overall environment, I'll look to the topology view. I can see my virtual private clouds, my subnets, and if I click on an actual instance, I can see the exact CPU utilization as well as the network traffic size. Now, within a few clicks, I knew exactly which instances to decommission, which can greatly reduce the cost of my AWS bill and keep the finance guys happy and off my back. Now that we know how to prevent last month's bill, what about for next month? I'll go to the budget planner view to see exactly how much spend I have left for the year. If I want to project my current month's spend, I can also go to the current month estimated billing. From here, I can project exactly how much I think I'm going to need for this month. And then there's a couple things we know about AWS. We know that they offer on-demand instances, and we also know they offer reserved instances. So another way that I could cut costs is if I know exactly how many instances to buy up front. So I can use the reserved instance planner to project that. We know in Q4 that's typically pretty high usage around finals. Right when our students should be studying, they're playing video games. So let's bump that up in November to see what that might look like and exactly how many volumes I might need if we were to bump up that usage. Now, what I just showed you is all about our AWS infrastructure, but let's not forget we're using Splunk. Now, the power of Splunk is that we can correlate AWS data as well as other infrastructure data. Looking at this graph, we can compare the CPU utilization and memory utilization of my physical infrastructure versus my cloud infrastructure. This is really helpful to me as the IT operations director because one of my initiatives is to try to understand how much I can migrate over to the cloud. In summary, the AWS app for AWS provides end-to-end visibility of health, security, and performance workloads. We use predictive capabilities to help optimize spend and maximize savings. You can download this app for free on Splunkbase, and you can also find it directly in an AMI from AWS Marketplace. It's called Splunk Insights for Cloud Monitoring.
Excellent. Thank you, Kelly. So, if cloud monitoring, troubleshooting, cost management, and security controls all in one app, which I think is amazing. But let's talk about something a little bit more serious. We realize here at Splunk that there is a problem in our community, and it has to do with an ailment that's all too common amongst the IT practitioner: swivel hips. It's very similar to the other condition called knock neck. It's that sort of ache you get in your side from having to swivel back and forth from management tool to management tool and console to console constantly to do your job. And we would like to acknowledge we have not done enough for this critical occupational hazard. And so what we would like to announce is something coming soon called Project Waitomo. And it is going to give you an ability to combine your logs and metrics in one single view so that you can do troubleshooting and monitoring at scale with machine learning all in one single console. So with sneak peek, let's show us, Kelly, your prescription for swivel hips.
All right, put on your imagination caps again. This time, I'm going to be the primary sysadmin for Buttercup Games. It's been 2 years since we launched our flagship game, World of Cheese. But now, the world is ready for our new game. The internet's been talking about it. Everyone's excited for it. JC's so ecstatic for our newest release of Tight Trousers of War. Now, since we're expecting such high usage, we need to monitor exactly how our infrastructure will be performing as more and more players come online. And I have to be able to see if there's potential fires coming up right away. The last thing that we want is gamers to experience downtime and have a terrible experience. We only got one shot at this, and if they have a bad experience right away, they're never going to buy from us again. Now, if any of you have attended our Splunk Innovations Lab, you may have seen a sneak peek. But I want to make sure that you all see this. With Project Waitomo, we have a unified experience for seamless monitoring and troubleshooting of hybrid infrastructure using metrics and tools. To deploy a new data source, deploy with a collect D agent with a copy and paste of a simple curl command, like on line 3 here. Or you can use your favorite configuration management software like Chef, Ansible, Puppet. Seconds later, we'll start getting metrics about our servers. Now, the wait is over. The game has been released. Everyone loves tight trousers of war. We have more and more players coming online, and we have so many servers to manage. But as we can see, we have 6 servers that are struggling to keep up with the demand. So here's how we take care of that. What we can do is we can group our servers in a way that makes sense to us. In this example, we grouped it by app and also by location. We can also group it by other environment attributes like hardware, data center, OS, and more. Now, that's important because it's really difficult sometimes to be able to isolate exactly where the problem is coming from. And especially with games, we want to make sure that we're on top of it and that we know before our players start to experience performance degradation. Ruh-roh. It looks like our health is starting to degrade. This could be the beginning of a trash fire. So here's how I troubleshoot the problems and find the root cause quickly. Thanks to Project Waitomo's machine learning, we can immediately see that the root cause of the problem appears to be related to high disk I/O. In the top right-hand corner, it makes it easy for us to sift through all of that. Drilling down further, I can see pre-built server metrics to easily monitor and understand my servers. In this analysis workspace, I can correlate and split multiple metrics in one space. With the power of Waitomo, I can overlay logs on top of performance metrics to find the root cause. And it's all about the root cause. Under the hood, these graphs are SPL-based. I used to have to do monitoring in one tool, and then I had to use Splunk for monitoring, for troubleshooting in another tool. Not anymore. All right, one more thing about Waitomo that I really like. I can not only monitor my Windows and Unix infrastructure, but I can also monitor my AWS and Docker containers. Back to green. Looks good here. Project Waitomo is doing some really cool stuff that we've never seen before. It unifies monitoring and troubleshooting infrastructure. Also, we can use machine learning assisted investigations to spot trends and find the issues faster. This will change how Buttercup games can use Splunk for awareness, investigation, and action.
No more swivel hips. Excellent. Give Kelly a round of applause. Thank you. Because remember, ELK. Everyone loves Kelly. So today, we talked about 3 technologies that we hope will help you avoid fires, find them before they get too big for you to easily put out, and remove the need to swivel back and forth between multiple different pieces of technology. Event analytics to cut the noise and find things you couldn't see before. Cloud monitoring to give you visibility across your ever-expanding hybrid estate. And soon, infrastructure monitoring with Project Waitomo that you can go see in the Splunk Innovation Labs. All of these are available in the Partner Pavilion. Please go down and check them out, or come to one of the many sessions that we have that will be out the rest of Conf. And so, finally, to wrap up, we are trying our very best to help you face the hard challenges of firefighting across modern, complex, and ever-growing IT organizations. And we're going to do it, as Richard said yesterday, by making it easy for you to investigate, react, and take action, and ultimately go back to being the hero with 3 new pieces of technology we hope you'll get to explore here at .conf. And with that, thank you all very much, and have a great Conf.
Thank you, JC and Kelly. Can I have a round of applause for our amazing products team and all those awesome demos? They've worked hard to showcase that for you, and I know that you are going to love all of it. With that, I think we've come full circle. If you look at the overall themes from yesterday, they are focused on success. And when I'm standing here looking at thousands of you, I'm reminded about why we do what we do. It's to make you successful. To wrap up for the day, I encourage each and every one of you to check out the security and IT sessions we have going on from Splunkers and from customers. Go to Splunk Labs and look at the Investigator Workbench and Waitomo. And go to the Source Pavilion and get demos of all of these awesome applications. Have a great time, guys, and thank you.
Miss Worldwide, let's celebrate. Yeah.